6:52 a.m. While the engine warms up in the employee lot, you move $50 to savings. You've done this 16 times now, and you're closing in on a full year of savings. Here is the $50 rule that actually survives a fluctuating paycheck. Not yet, though. Sit with that for a second, because the reason it works has almost nothing to do with the math. Here's what should actually bother you. Almost every savings plan ever built assumes leftovers. Save 20% of your income. 20% of what? Rent takes its cut first, then the truck payment, then insurance, then groceries. Whoever wrote that advice never once watched a paycheck swing because the warehouse had a slow week. That's a plan built for someone else's life, handed to you like it fits. Maybe you've opened a savings calculator before, typed the real numbers in, watched it spit out a finish line so far away it wasn't worth reading. Closed the tab without a word. That wasn't weakness. That was a correct read of bad math. Maybe you've started 3 plans and watched all 3 die quietly within 2 months. The plans failed, not you. Picture 2 paychecks a month. Same job, same hours on paper. 1 month there's overtime, next month there isn't. Nobody ever told you that was allowed to be normal. It's not your budgeting, it's the schedule. A plan that assumes a flat, predictable surplus every single month was never built to survive your actual calendar. 16 months ago, your money was tight. Every single dollar had to be perfect just to keep your head above water. A few dollars of slack decided whether the week felt fine or felt tight. And there was a very specific kind of dread every time the truck made a sound it hadn't made before. One Tuesday, kids already asleep, you sat at the kitchen table doing math on a $58 late fee, a library book that had been sitting in the truck for 6 weeks. And of everything in that truck, it had to be the one about budgeting. You moved numbers between categories like furniture in a room already too full. It took rearranging 3 weeks to absorb a book fine. That was the night you said the quiet part out loud, to nobody. 1 bad week, and the whole thing tips. The rule that fixed it didn't come from an app. It came from your grandfather, who spent 31 years setting steel on bridge crews. High spans, river crossings, one overpass he never stopped bringing up at dinner. You asked him once how he stood working on something that took 2 years to finish. He looked at you like the question didn't make sense. "I don't build the bridge," he said. "I set the next rivet." He wasn't thinking about the span while he worked. His business was 1 rivet, set true, and then, only then, the one after it. 31 years of that. Behind him, bridges still standing, carrying trucks heavier than anything he ever drove. You went home that night and asked the question that built everything after it. What's your rivet? Picture it like this. Someone hands you a photo of a finished bridge and says, "Build that." Your stomach drops before you've picked up a tool. Now someone hands you 1 rivet and says, "Set that." Completely different feeling. Same bridge eventually. A giant number doesn't pull you forward. It works against you. Every month you look up from what little you've saved toward what you actually need. The gap does all the talking. Big plans don't die from bad math. They die from staring at the whole shape of the thing. So here's what got built instead. The rivet, the fold-in, the limit. Together, that's the $50 rule. And no, it isn't save $50 a week. If it were that simple, this video would run 30 seconds and you'd have quit by month 2, same as always. A rivet is $50. The only unit your emergency fund is allowed to exist in. Not a year of savings. Not some 5-figure number that makes your stomach drop. I know, you heard math and your brain tried to leave the room. Stay. This calculation is the only one you ever have to do. You sat down once and worked out your real survival number, rent, utilities, groceries, insurance, gas, the phone, nothing extra, divided it by 50, wrote the countdown exactly once, and put the paper away. You haven't done that math again since. If your number came out negative before you'd even divided anything, if the paycheck genuinely doesn't cover survival, not just comfort, this isn't your first move. It's not a shame thing either. Income comes first in that case. Hours, rate, benefits already earned. the harder conversation with a supervisor. No savings habit fixes an income gap. But if the number's positive, even barely, keep going, because this is where it gets easier, not harder. From that day on, your entire savings life became one automated move. Every other Thursday, in that same 4 minutes before clock-in, one rivet moves on its own. The willpower got spent once the day the transfer got set up. After that, the truck, the heater, the 4 minutes, the machine handles the mornings. Setting the rivet is how you survive the week. But the second move is what makes you bulletproof when a $2,000 repair bill hits your kitchen table. And it isn't about finding new money. It's about catching the wins you're already missing. This is the part that actually builds the frame, and it's the move almost nobody talks about. The payday rivet is the steady part. The real growth happens when money gets freed up or shows up unexpected. There was a subscription you'd forgotten you were even paying for. Canceled it. And instead of letting that little bit of breathing room dissolve back into the month like it always used to, it became a rivet. Same day, every month, permanent, with a reason attached to it. Then a tax refund landed, bigger than expected. Windfalls like that have a habit of getting treated like a bonus check, spent fast, gone almost twice as quick as regular income. So the rule has an answer, a 24-hour window to fold it in before it can drift anywhere else. That one refund alone did the work of several months of paydays in a single afternoon, gone from temptation's reach before the feeling of having it even settled in. That's the fold-in. It's how a $50 habit ends up moving at a pace 6 or 7 times faster than the number in front of you, without the limit on that number ever moving. This is the strange one, and it's the move that saves the whole structure later when things get hard. You never make a savings decision bigger than $50. Not, I'll throw an extra this month, I'm feeling good about it, because the same confidence that overshoots on a good month is the same instinct that quits completely on a bad one. That answers the objection before you even finish forming it. Yes, at $50 a swing, the full year takes a while. Years, honestly, not months. But an emergency fund doesn't need to be finished to start carrying weight. The first full month of real survival money got banked well before the halfway point of the whole build. That's the month the late-night kitchen table math stopped happening. The full year is the destination. The panic dies a lot earlier than that. And on the months the truck does make that new sound and there's nothing extra to fold in, this is where it beats every plan built on percentages. Nothing breaks. A steel frame doesn't die of embarrassment. It sits there, exactly as far along as it was, waiting. The next rivet is still $50, same as it's always been. The limit is what keeps you from quitting, but it's also what prepares you for the boring Tuesday I'm about to show you. You don't build the bridge, you set the rivet in front of you. Before I show you why most people fail this, here's the moment it almost went sideways for someone standing right next to you. Here's what the other version of this looks like, because you've probably lived near it. A coworker on your shift takes home close enough to yours that the difference was never the paycheck. You both started saving the same week after talking about it on a break. She picked an impressive number and went hard at it. No limit, no rule, just ambition. It worked for a while, the way it always does at first. Then a slow month hit. The plan missed. Catching back up meant doubling the next month. That never happens. She didn't just quietly stop. She deleted the banking app off her phone so she wouldn't have to look at the number anymore. Reinstalled it 4 separate times over the next year. Always a Monday, always meaning it. The app still greets her with a welcome back screen from the 3rd install. She hasn't opened it since the 4th. The decision you made on that same break looked small next to hers. It wasn't. If that stung a little, if you've got your own reinstall count somewhere in the back of your head, good. Sit with it instead of scrolling past it. It's a diagnosis, and it arrived free. Her plan didn't fail because she lacked discipline. It failed because it had no limit, and without a limit, there's nothing holding it up when a bad month hits. Yours does. There's a night worth having, because it's exactly what the middle of this feels like once the frame's a few months old. The water heater went. The real thing. Water on the floor. The number nobody says out loud. You paid it, drove home, and it wasn't until you were pulling into the driveway that you noticed what hadn't happened. Nothing. No spiral. No kitchen table math session. A handful of rivets came off a frame that had months of them already set into it, and it just carried the weight and kept standing. You told your sister later it was the most expensive, boring Tuesday of your life. That's the actual product here, not the final number, the boring part. Quietly isn't decoration in the title of this video. It's the whole point. One more thing worth knowing, and then 3 moves to make tonight. Where the money sits matters. Parked in a high-yield account, somewhere around 4% right now in 2026, a finished frame starts quietly adding rivets of its own every year, without you touching anything. It eventually pays into itself. Which accounts actually deliver that is a different video. Tonight, find the real number. Survival only, nothing extra. Divided by 50, write it down once, and stop checking it. It gets smaller behind you on its own schedule. Set the automated rivet before you sleep. $50, first thing out of the next paycheck, because willpower runs out by Thursday afternoon most weeks, and a standing transfer doesn't get tired. And start the fold-in list tonight. Every subscription you cancel, every bit of surprise overtime, every refund gets a destination inside 24 hours, no exceptions. Somewhere tonight, someone else is staring at a welcome back screen, telling themselves Monday's the real start this time. You're already past that. 6:52 tomorrow morning, same truck, same 4 minutes nobody's watching, and $50 moves before the engine even shuts off. Not a transfer, a rivet, set true, with a bridge behind it already carrying more weight than it looks like it should. You don't build the bridge, you set the one in front of you.